Hey guys, Perry here. In today's video, we're going to be doing a tier list on Update 3 of Anime Defenders. I'm a little sick right now, so that's why my voice might sound off, but with all that being said, let's not waste any time and get right into the tier list. Up first, we have Ant King, and he's going to go into the C tier. Don't get me wrong, this guy is definitely a solid starter mythic for most people, but here's the thing. Number 1, he's a ground unit, so that's already knocking off some points. But number 2, his damage just doesn't stack up against the other units we have on this list. But he's also a good ace and a solid AoE and solid damage, so he will be going into C tier. Next up, we have Cur King, and we're gonna put this dude right into A tier. He's a very solid hybrid unit with a full AoE attack as well as doing bleed damage. You can place 4 of him, and overall, he's a very good pick for any type of content in the game. Next, we have Bulma, and she's going to go into support tier, obviously. She's a farm unit, one of the only 3 farm units in the game, so she's a must-have. Cur King is up next, and he's going to be our first S tier of the video. Although he's a ground unit, meaning he can't hit air, he's still a secret unit with insane DPS and a good AoE. Currently, he's one of the worst secret in the game, clocking in at the bottom of sec. Currently, he's the worst secret in the game, clocking in at the bottom of S tier, but he's still an S tier nonetheless. Now we're moving on to a new unit that was added this update, called Crimson Demon Ninja. This guy is basically just a better Natsu in my opinion. He's hybrid, good AoE attacks, meta burn damage, all that good stuff. He's also cheaper than Natsu and has a better AoE attack overall, but Natsu and him are both good. Anyway, up next we have Cur King, and he's gonna be in B tier. He's hybrid and he's a meta bleed, making him really good. He also has a ton of multi-hit attacks, so critical synergies very well with him. But as time goes on and better units get added, he slowly starts to get worse. Moving on to Demon King Peak. This guy is also an automatic S tier. This dude is pretty crazy. He's a 4 placement hybrid unit with insane damage, and he slows. I personally really like this role. This guy plays as a secret. Usually secrets are just crazy damage dealers who could carry you through everything. And that's also usually secrets are just crazy damage dealers who can carry you through everything, and that's also the case for this guy, but he leans more towards support. He's not full AoE, and he's just not doing as much damage as some of the other secrets, but he's still insanely good from both a gameplay and meta perspective. Next, we have Donut Master, and he's going into support. Don't let that placement fool you, dude. This guy is multi-hit, a hybrid, and slows enemies. He's a meta support, and I strongly advise you get this guy before he becomes too expensive. Next, we have Elf Hero, and she's also gonna be in B tier. She's a ground unit with a decent damage, but her range is a little lacking. In Tower of Eternity, she's also a solid pick, and she can carry you through most of the story, but she was here since release and has slowly fallen out of the meta. I'm gonna put Flame Dragon God right next to Fire Demon Ninja. Although I personally prefer Fire Demon Ninja, both of these guys are really good. These are essentially 2 sides of the same coin. They both do meta burn damage, and they're both really cheap. Both have good AoE. He will be placed nicely into A tier. Ice Dragon Queen is gonna be at the top of A tier. Her damage is pretty crazy for a support unit, and she's hybrid. If you're new to the game, this is one of the best units to go for because she does good damage and slows enemies. Her only drawbacks are that she's a little too expensive to place. Legion Assassin Master and Legion Captain are both meta supports. They do good damage too, but where they really shine is their unique buff abilities. Legion Assassin gives all the units in his range a 30% crit buff, which is insanely good. And Legion Veteran gives all units in her range a 20% range buff, which is also very nice. Up next, we have Legion Veteran, and she's going to be going into A tier. She's a hybrid unit who has really solid damage, but the reason she's an A tier is mainly due to her ability. She gives a flat damage buff to all the units in her range, making her insanely good support. Muscular Sorcerer is up next, and he's gonna be in our second C tier unit. He does decent damage, don't get me wrong, he's a mythic after all, but his attack patterns are very underwhelming. His final upgrade once you evolve him is line AoE, but that really hurts him. Plus, he's a ground unit. Next, we have Muscular Sorcerer, and he's gonna be making it to A tier. Although he's not a hybrid unit, he also does pretty good damage, and you can place him 4 of him. Once you max him, oh fuck. Prime Commander is up next, and we'll be putting him in B tier. When the game first dropped, this guy was the update 0 GOAT. Everyone used him, and there was no unit to rival his damage in AoE at that time. Now we have tons of secrets and hybrids and full AoE units that just do his job better. He's still as good, but he's been slowly falling out of the meta with every update, so he'll be placed in B tier. Proficient Sharpshooter is going to be going into the top of B tier. When this unit was released in Update 0, I thought she was going to be absolute garbage. But as time passed and more flying enemies started getting introduced, the fact that she's a multi-hit unit really helps her. She does decent damage and all her attacks have good AoE. With critical or precision, she will still be doing very good damage. Shadow Dragon Unlocked is next, and he's an easy S tier. He's full AoE and multi-hit unit. On top of that, he has the best buff ability in the game, giving all units in his range 50% more range and 25% more faster attack speed. He's a ground unit, meaning he can't hit air, which is unfortunate, but honestly, I'm glad he's not hybrid. It somewhat keeps him balanced, even though he's leaps and bounds better than most of the units in his tier list. Oh fuck.
Start recording and go.
Skull Paladin is another C tier unit. This guy's amazing for starter because he's full of AoE off placement and doesn't do bad damage. But on max, he's line AoE, which is what the fuck. Next up, we have the Pro Gamer, and he is another S tier unit. He can't hit air units normally, but the units he summons from his ability do hit air, so he's basically a hybrid. Overall, he has some nice attack patterns as well as very cool unique mechanics. He also has very cool Overall, he has some nice good attack patterns as well as very cool unique mechanics, and he's gonna be an S tier. The Rift Sorcerer is also gonna be a very easy S tier. What needs to be said about this unit that hasn't already been said, he's a full AoE hybrid, he slows, and he does crazy damage. Probably the current best secret in this game, and he'll be clocking in a high S tier. Thunder God will be getting B tier because of his decent damage and AoE attacks. He's a ground unit, which sucks, but oh well. Up next we have Unstable Aspirant, and he'll be getting the top of C tier. The only reason he gets the top is because he's hybrid, but other than that, he does mid damage and is a little expensive for his damage output. Warrior Queen will be getting B tier because of her full AoE attack and once she's maxed out, as well as the fact that she's 4 placement unit. She's a ground unit, meaning she can't hit air. Last but not least, we have Water Grandmaster, who will also be getting B tier due to his good damage and AoE attacks. And this is gonna be wrap up of our update 3 unit tier list. This tier list is overall list. That is going to be a wrap of our Update 3 unit tier list. This tier list is an overall list judging the units on their performance in all game modes. If you disagree with this list or see anything I could improve on, let me know in the comments. With all that being said, have a great day or night wherever you are, and we'll catch you in the next one.